Has anybody seen a freaking tall, skinny vampire named Dracula? Because I got something for him. I got Mully in here. I got something for him. Yeah. Thor, let me borrow this. I got something for that damn vampire. I'm a freaking sludge hammer his head. I'm a freaking whip this motherfucker's head and just let him have it. I'm worthy, as you can see. But before I go kill a vampire that's been blooding these streets up lately, I gotta show you a little thing about Dracula. Dracula 1931. It's not a bad movie. It's a black and white movie, but let the review speak for itself and tell you what you guys think about it. I gotta go hunt a vampire right quick, so I'll be back. So how you guys enjoy that review? Dracula 31 is not that bad for me. I know takes some dedication to watch a black and white film, especially an old one like that. But it's a classic. How can you hate on a classic? But then again, some people hate Citizen Kane. But anyways, yeah, Citizen Kane's a long movie. I understand that. But anyways, I got Mully in here. Thor's letting me rent this thing out to go kill a freaking vampire. So me and Dracula. Ooh yeah. Time for a little showdown. And I'm worthy once again. So before I leave, hit that like, hit that subscribe button for more videos like this. Make sure you hit your notifications and what? What'd you say? You suck? Oh, see, all right. I gotta kill this motherfucker. I gotta kill this motherfucker. So this won't be the last of me. It won't, cause I got that with me. All right, I'm coming to get you. I think by now, many know of this film. Well, maybe the older crowd, because I think that younger crowd that was probably like born in 2000s, late 90s, the only thing they know is TikTok and how to scam. But anyways, let's dig in. Dracula is a 1931 American pre-code supernatural film. Pre-code meaning before the onset of censorship and ratings in cinema. It also means before the adoption of sound, which was adopted in 1930. But really wasn't enforced until 1934 with the establishment of the Production Code Administration. Well, enough of that technical stuff. Let's dig into this movie even more. Dracula was directed by Todd Browning, notable for films such as I really don't know too much about his films. I think most of them were silent films. Browning did do some time as an actor and some acting on vaudeville, and even had a cameo in this said film. Now, Dracula wasn't solely based on Bram Stoker's 1897 novel, but was also adapted from the play of the same name by Hamilton Dean and John L. Balderson. I think that's pronounced it. I don't want to mess up his name. I don't want to disrespect the dead. We know Dracula stars film legend, the Hungarian actor Bela Lugosi, who actually played Count Dracula in the 1927 play I mentioned earlier. It seemed Lugosi was destined to play the role. Unfortunately, he was typecast for many horror roles and other creepy roles for that Hungarian accent which he carried. Dracula was his best known role. I think he only played vampires almost. No, he did. He played Gypsy. And enough about that. Well, now, this film starts off with a man named Renfield working as a solicitor on his way to the land of the darkness and monsters that we called Transylvania, which is a real place, of course, to visit Count Dracula on a business matter. I always wanted to say Count Dooku. Count Dooku won't play Dracula for another 40 years. Okay. Rest in peace to Christopher Lee. Now, the people in the village fear the vampire that lives at Crash's Dracula and advise Renfield, don't go there. But of course he does. He wouldn't have a movie. He takes the stagecoach to the castle, driven by the king of vampires himself. Can we really call Dracula the king of vampires? You know what? He's the most notable vampires in vampire lore, so why not at this point? Some might argue to that, but come on. You think vampire, you think Dracula. Well, anyways, Dracula. Well, anyways, Renfield arrives at the castle and comes face to face with the Count himself. And here we see probably one of the best introductions to a fictional character. We received many in the last 80 years, but this is one of the most notable.
I am Dracula. Oh. Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Well, technically, Dracula was already introduced on Renfield's way to the Castle Dracula, but we don't know that was actually the Count. Well, while talking business with the Count, Renfield observes Dracula's eccentric, weird ways. And he even points out how creepy Dracula's acting, while Renfield does business, but the businessman continues to do business with the vampire, not knowing he's a vampire. Dracula's the vampire. The business the two discusses, at least on the Abbey in England, which Dracula intends to visit the next day. Dracula knows how it moves. Later on in the night, Dracula finally gets his creepy paws on Renfield, making him a servant of the Count. As the viewers were introduced to Dracula's brides who have no name. And I don't think they really had a name until recent. I think there's only 2 movies they had names. I forgot which one. I think one. No, I don't remember. I know one of them is Van Helsing, but anyways, we're not gonna get into that. Now that Renfield is Dracula's henchman, Dracula embarks on his quest to England, and the film starts to focus on Dracula's relationship with the Harkers and Abraham Van Helsing, Dracula's arch enemy. Now, Renfield is still part of this film, but as the film rolls on, we focus on Renfield's descent into madness as he eats flies and spiders and is eventually sent to the asylum right next door to Dracula's Lease Abbey. We also learn that Dracula has a desire of blood. We know that he has a desire for blood as he feasts on a woman who's infatuated with him named Lucy, killing her, but also sets his eyes on Mina Seward, soon to be Harker, the daughter of Dr. Seward and the fiance of Jonathan Harker. Van Helsing tries to get to the bottom of the situation as he discovers Dracula's weird ways, and also he realizes Dracula is a vampire after seeing him shapeshift and not have a reflection. Mina is now under Dracula's influence, and Van Helsing hopes to rid the vampire for good. Not to get bogged down into the details of this film, the ending, only one can guess what happens. It's a standoff between Van Helsing, Jonathan Harker, and Dracula. Well, this film did receive good marks by the critics and viewers alike. I praise it. For me, I praise it for its overall creepiness, especially in the beginning of this film. It's probably what I liked about Dracula. I think what adds to the dark nature of this film that you can barely see something out of time, even with the Blu-ray version. Not the Blu-ray version, the Blu-ray version. It's just black and white. I think if this movie was in color, I don't think it would be as creepy. But you can't beat that old black and white creepiness. It's just creepy. It's probably what I like about old Universal Studios horror films. They're old and creepy and black and white. But also, Dracula remains mysterious, and he's calm, cool, and collected. Doesn't waver. Doesn't start screaming like an idiot like this guy.
More! Blow that piece of junk out of the sky!
Now, not necessarily scary, but this film keeps the conflict moving, especially for a film for its time. I know some people might it might not be some people's cup of tea because they don't have the boom bam bam boom bam 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 shot you boom bam bam that stabs you in your gut boom bam bam blast your head off. But the movies of these days just got nothing but action and freaking no plot. The only thing that seems corny about this film is the puppet bat on a string. Yes, you can actually see the string on the bat, but that was considered to be special effects of 1930 and 31. Also, the plot is simple. I think too many of the films today get too caught up in making a convoluted plot to the point it don't make sense when people are doing this and that and this and that, trying to screw this person. Not in that way, but trying to. You get what I'm saying. I'm looking at you, Mummy 2017. I still don't get that film. There was too much going on with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and you get my point. And yeah, I keep picking on that film. I'm gonna do a deep dive on that film pretty soon, just to understand for myself what the hell did I watch. It's probably not that complicated. But anyways, moving on. I don't think this. I think this is probably one of the best vampire Dracula films out there. Probably the most accurate to a point of Dracula films. Now I know nowadays, going back to modern days, Dracula films they try to replicate this film, and now they try to do something different when they have Dracula as a supervillain or an anti-hero straight out of a Marvel comic book. Well, then again, there is a Marvel Comics version of Dracula, but we ain't gonna talk about that right now. This film, if not for this film, of course, we wouldn't have all the vampire films that we have now. It's a very influential film, if you haven't noticed by now. It's probably why it's in the National Film Registry. Now, there are 3 different films, or different versions of this film. There's a Spanish version with different actors, also released in the same year by Universal. I actually thought this film was lost for good. The only copy was rotten, I guess, to the point you couldn't salvage it. But it was weird. In the 1970s, they found a copy in Cuba, of all places. Well, like the Spanish version, like the English version, the Spanish version is held to high remarks and is also in that National Film Registry. And I also have it on Blu-ray too, along with the English version. Basically, just English version in Spanish. Different actors, like I said. Now, there's a 3rd version of this film, which is silent due to every theater not being wired for sound in the early 1930s. Dracula would spawn several sequels. Dracula's Daughter in 1936. I actually fell asleep on that. It's kind of slow. Son of Dracula I have not seen. It's now on the Peacock. Starring Lon Chaney Jr. House of Frankenstein. House of Dracula, which I've seen. And Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, which is Bela Lugosi's only other time casted as to count. Bela Lugosi only played the character twice, but was starred as a vampire in Todd Browning's other vampire film and other films: Mark of the Vampire, Return of the Vampire, and Mother Riley Meets the Vampire, which people tend to get confused on because they thought Lugosi played Dracula multiple times in those films, but that vampire portrayed in those films wasn't Dracula. It was somebody else. Now, Dracula was not the first vampire film ever. First being Nosferatu in 1922, 99 years ago. The plot similar to Dracula, but the vampire's name was changed to Count Orlok due to copyright purposes, which I will talk about next. Now, this film, Nosferatu, is creepy as hell. It's like really creepy. If I ever seen that thing in my place of sleep and business, I will make sure to have a cross ready there to kill that sucker. Actually, Nosferatu wasn't supposed to make it 100 years. It was ordered to be destroyed by Bram Stoker's estate, but somehow survived to be considered to be one of the best films in cinema history. Like Dracula, this film is regarded to be one of the best. Like I said, actually, Universal had to work hard to get the rights to Dracula, and also took a big risk on this film, Dracula, which they did accomplish. As far as the future of Dracula films, I think the last big budget Dracula film, live action wise, not that Transylvania with Adam Sandler animated stuff, no diss to that. Last film was Dracula Untold in 2014 by Universal. Check that review out I did last year on said film. But for the future, Dracula's supposed to be in that Universal Dark Universe, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what they're doing with it now. But at the moment, I have heard nothing. But I do think Universal will have some scheme to bring Dracula back. From what I know so far, Dracula and the rest of Universal Monsters will have their own land at Universal's new theme park in Orlando. So there's still room for more of these characters. Maybe we'll get Fast and Furious crew versus Dracula soon. Oh wait, they did that already. It's called Fast 6. Sorry, it's a bad joke. It's a bad joke. Luke Evans, aka Dracula, and Dracula Untold. He's in Fast 6. But anyways, all right, enough of the corny jokes and bombarding you all with information you probably don't care about, and probably some will care about. I appreciate the ones that care about it. I think 1931's Dracula is one of those films that will live on forever. It's one of my favorites. But what do you guys think about this film? For anyone who has seen it, tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. Good evening.